There was a time when making $100,000 a year meant something very clear. You made it, not just financially, but mentally. You were safe, you were ahead, you could finally relax. And for years, that number became the goal for millions of people. 6 figures. That's when life begins. That's when money stops being a problem. But today, something doesn't add up. Because people are reaching that number and still feeling the same. Still checking their bank account before spending, still waiting for the next paycheck, still wondering, where is all my money going? And the strange part is, they're not doing anything obviously wrong. So either an entire generation suddenly forgot how to manage money, or the rules of money changed, quietly, without anyone explaining it. And if you don't see those new rules, 100K will never feel like enough. Let's go to the exact moment everything is supposed to change. You get the raise, or the new job, or the promotion, and your salary hits 100K. For a moment, everything feels aligned. You feel validated. All those years of effort finally paying off. And then your mind does something subtle. It doesn't say, let's stabilize. It says, now I can live properly. And that thought feels harmless, but it's not. Because that's the moment your expectations shift. Not gradually, instantly. And what happens next doesn't feel like a mistake, it feels like progress, which is exactly why most people never question it. The first place this shows up is where you live, because your environment is the most visible reflection of your success. So you upgrade, not dramatically, just enough to feel like you've leveled up. A better neighborhood, a better building, a place that feels more like you belong. And for the first time, your space matches your income. And that feels good. But here's what's happening underneath. This isn't just a one-time decision, it's a recurring commitment. Every single month, housing is not just another expense. It's the foundation of your financial structure. When it increases, everything else adjusts around it. Because it's not flexible. You can't easily reduce it next month. You can't pause it. You can't negotiate it every week. So once it rises, it stays. And that changes how your entire income behaves. But housing alone isn't the problem. It's what it triggers next that quietly reshapes your entire life. Once your environment upgrades, your behavior follows. You don't think of it as spending more, you think of it as living better. You choose convenience more often. You stop checking prices as closely. You start saying yes without calculating the impact every time. And none of this feels irresponsible. In fact, it feels like the point of earning more. But here's where the shift happens. Not immediately, gradually. Your temporary choices become permanent habits. There's a difference between spending and building a lifestyle. Spending is flexible, a lifestyle is fixed. And once something becomes part of your lifestyle, removing it feels like a downgrade, not an adjustment. So now, your expenses are no longer decisions, they're expectations. And this is where things quietly flip. Because now, your income isn't creating freedom, it's maintaining your lifestyle. Now let's talk about something that doesn't feel emotional, but has a massive emotional impact. Your actual income. When you say you earn 100K, what you really mean is, that's the number before everything is taken out. But you don't live on that number. You live on what's left. And that number is significantly smaller. This creates a psychological illusion. Because your identity is tied to your gross income, but your reality is shaped by your net income, so you think like someone earning 100K, but you operate like someone earning much less. And that gap is where confusion begins. But even if we fixed this, even if taxes disappeared, you would still feel behind. And the reason has nothing to do with money itself. Your financial life isn't just numbers, it's perception. And perception today is constantly being manipulated. You're exposed to people who appear to be doing better than you, not occasionally, constantly. And your brain adapts. It recalibrates what normal looks like, so what used to feel like success now feels average. This is one of the most powerful forces in modern finance, relative comparison. You don't measure your life objectively, you measure it relative to others. So even if your life improves, if your comparison improves faster, you still feel like you're losing. You didn't get poorer, your expectations got more expensive. Now let's zoom out, because this isn't just personal behavior, it's structural. The cost of living has changed dramatically. Housing costs have surged, healthcare costs have increased, education costs have exploded, and these aren't optional expenses. You can't avoid them. This creates something called pressure stacking, where multiple essential costs rise at the same time, so even if your income increases, it gets absorbed faster. And that's why 100K doesn't stretch the way it used to. At this point, most people reach the wrong conclusion. They think, I just need to earn more. But if nothing else changes, more income won't solve this. It will just scale the same problem. So what actually works? Not motivation, not temporary discipline, a different way of thinking. Wealth is not created by income. It's created by the gap, the difference between what you earn and what you keep. If that gap doesn't exist, nothing compounds, nothing grows. Not everything matters equally. 3 things control your financial life: housing, transportation, recurring spending. If you manage these well, everything else becomes easier. The biggest mistake people make is relying on willpower. Willpower fades. Systems don't. So remove the decision, automate saving, automate investing, make wealth the default, not the effort. This is uncomfortable, but powerful. Live slightly below what you can afford, not dramatically, just enough to create breathing room. Because breathing room is where opportunity exists. One income means dependence. Multiple income sources create flexibility. And flexibility is what replaces financial stress with control. So if $100K feels poor, it's not because you failed, it's because the rules changed and no one explained them. But now you see them, and once you see them, you stop chasing income alone, you start building control, and that's when everything shifts. Not instantly, but permanently. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe to Drawn to Wealth, because the difference between earning money and building wealth is understanding the game behind it.